Welcome to High Heels and Hidden Truths. I'm Vanessa Murphy, investigative reporter at KLAS TV in Las Vegas. In this episode, we are going to be examining a deadly crime spree at the hands of two teens and what may be the final chapter in this high-profile criminal case. Take a look at how it all started.
Ready? Yeah. Two teenagers appear giddy after police say they intentionally hit and killed 64-year-old Andy Probst early in the morning on August 14th near Centennial in Tenaya.
Jesus Ayala.
Now, Jesus Ayala, the accused driver, 17 at the time of this alleged crime spree.
Court does find probable cause.
And 16-year-old Jamir Keys, the accused passenger, face charges in the adult system, including murder.
They really don't care if anyone else lives or dies. They don't care about themselves if they live or die. And that can just be shown through their own actions.
Is this a clear-cut case since you have video?
A picture tells 1,000 words.
So that deadly crime spree happening in Las Vegas, the northwest part of town, August of 2023. We are recording this on December 16th, 2025. I was in court earlier today. A judge sentenced both of these defendants. She sentenced Jesus Ayala to 20 years to life in prison. She sentenced Jamir Keys 18 years to life in prison. They both get about 2 years of credit for time served as they have both been in jail. Now, one of the questions we often get is, why didn't prosecutors seek the death penalty? Or why will these two defendants ever be able to walk free, ever be able to leave prison? This is because of Nevada state law. Technically, they were juveniles when this deadly crime spree occurred. Keys a little younger than Ayala, and Nevada state law specifies if they are juveniles, they have to have the opportunity to serve their time and then eventually possibly walk out of prison. So that is Nevada state law. You cannot seek the death penalty for a juvenile because of our law here. So at this sentencing, it was emotional. There were multiple victim impact statements. We heard from one defense attorney. We heard from a prosecutor. But the most important, we heard from the family of Andy Probst about how this tragedy has impacted their lives. He was a retired police chief. He clearly was very close with his two children and his wife. He had retired again as a police chief, but a family member said he had taken a new job as a head of security. He had a life ahead of him in his 60s. His wife said he deserved to play golf. He deserved to walk his daughter down the aisle, spend time with eventually his grandchildren. And this tragedy has really just shattered this family. Here is Crystal Probst, his widow.
Your Honor, I stand before you because these individuals deliberately and cold-bloodedly murdered Andy. There's no accident. There's no hesitation, no humanity. They made a conscious decision to take the life of a man who did nothing but serve others with dignity. They made a choice, and that choice destroyed my family. I am here because my world was destroyed, not damaged, not shaken, destroyed. And every single day since Andy was murdered, I wake up feeling like I am being asked to live a life I no longer recognize. A life without the man who was my home, my safety, my partner in everything for more than 4 decades. A kind of grief I never knew existed. A grief that lives in every breath I take, in every corner of my home, and in every moment I try to move forward without the man who was my entire world. Andy was stolen from me in an act so cruel, so deliberate, that it shattered not only my heart, but the hearts of everyone who loved him. When these individuals took his life, they didn't just kill one man. They destroyed a lifetime of love, security, and happiness. They took away the future we spent decades building together. The quiet mornings, the nightly goodnight kisses, the daily I love yous, the family milestones, and the joy of growing old side by side. They stole the future we earned, the moment by moment and year by year, and they left a silence that nothing can replace. The pain they caused does not fade. It grows. It settles into everything in our world. Sorry, it's long. Andy was everything a good man should be. Gentle yet strong, humble, patient, and loyal. A man who lived with honor and loved without limits. He was always the first to lend a hand, the first to offer comfort, and the last person who would ever bring harm to another. He was my partner in everyday life, my best friend, my protector, my steady source of strength. Losing him did not just break my heart, it broke the foundation of my life. Your Honor, our children lost more than a father. They lost the voice they turned to at the end of each hard day, a guidance they trusted, the safety only a parent can give, the conversations they once shared so easily, the updates, the laughter, the worries, are now painful reminders of what will never be again. Andy was their safe place, their compass, their example of the kind of people they strive to be. He should have been there to stand proudly at their weddings, to cradle their newborn children, to cheer for their accomplishments, to comfort them through their struggles. Those were irreplaceable moments, the moments when a child needs their father the most, were ripped away from them forever. And that's the depth of what was taken from them. The pain they have caused is immeasurable. Every day we wake up to the emptiness that cannot be filled. Our home, once filled with warmth and laughter, is now marked by silence and grief. The wound they created is so deep and permanent. The trauma of this loss has reached across generations, touching our children, our grandchildren, and everybody who loved Andy. My husband deserved to live. He deserved to golf again, to grow old, to watch his family thrive, to keep bringing light and kindness into the world. Instead, we're left with memories, heartbreak, and a void that words cannot hold. We carry his love with us for the rest of our lives, and we will never, ever forget what was taken from us. And let me be painfully clear. The individuals who committed this monstrous act and those who enabled the path that led them here, the people and the systems that have failed again and again until this violence became inevitable, should feel nothing but shame. Shame for the lives they have shattered without hesitation. Shame for the futures they crush under weight of their choices. Shame for allowing neglect, apathy, and excuses to take the place of accountability, compassion, and basic human decency. Their failures did just not create offenders. They created a lineage of violence, cruelty, and a chilling disregard for human life. Now I am the one left carrying the cost of every one of those failures. Your Honor, I remind you, they didn't just kill Andy. They filmed his murder and released it to the world, forcing his final terrified moments into the eyes of strangers. That image haunts me every single day. It replays in my mind, without mercy, a wound that never closes, a permanent scar that is burned into my memory. It is a brutal reminder of the cruelty they chose. Intentional, deliberate, carried out with the coldness and pleasure that no human being should possess. That video lives out there now, publicly displayed, a horrifying testament to not only what they did to him, but the joy they took while doing it. And again, I remind you, we have generations who are going to have to see that video, whether they want to or not. Nothing can restore the sense of safety and peace that was ripped from us. But I ask this court to recognize the profound and lasting harm these individuals have caused, and their utter lack of remorse, compassion, or respect for human life. While we are aware the plea agreements were reached, we respectfully remind the court that you retain the ultimate authority, with respect, to impose a sentence that reflects the true severity of their actions. We implore you to exercise that authority and impose the maximum sentence. A maximum sentence permitted by law is the only thing that begins to honor the man Andy was, and the devastation left in the wake of his murder. Do not let Andy's life, a life lived with integrity, devotion, and love, be diminished by leniency. A maximum sentence reaffirms that human life is sacred, and that acts of such deliberate cruelty will be met to the fullest measures of justice.
And that was Crystal Probst, the widow of Andy Probst, who was killed in that crime spree, giving her victim impact statement moments before the judge sentenced those two defendants. Let's take a break. Welcome back to High Heels and Hidden Truths. I'm Vanessa Murphy. We are continuing to look at a deadly crime spree by two teens from 2023. They're no longer underage. They are both adults now. And now in December of 2025, they were sentenced. A judge is sending them to prison. One of them 18 years to life, the other 20 years to life. They both get a couple of years for credit already served in jail, but they are going to prison. They were part of this deadly crime spree. They crashed into one man. They crashed into two bicyclists, a total of 3 victims in these deadly crime sprees. They were represented in this criminal case. We heard from one victim's family. Andy Probst was a retired police chief just going on a morning bike ride. His family received an alert that he was hurt from his Apple Watch because of the impact. The teens hit another cyclist. He survived, and he was in court to deliver his victim impact statement. He had a representative from the Clark County District Attorney's Office read his statement. Take a look.
The damage to my bicycle was minimal versus the effect on my mental status. Not a single day has gone by that I don't think about this terrifying experience that happened or could have happened, considering the next victim's outcomes. The physical injuries that were sustained were minimal on the outside, but internally my knee and back hurt till this day, limiting my activities. As far as the sentencing goes, I believe the reductions and dismissals of other felonies committed through a plea bargain agreement are unwarranted. In my mind, this case is a slam dunk on all accounts, as proven by the vicious videos taken.
And you heard some reference to the plea agreements for Ayala and Keys. A bunch of charges dropped as a result of that plea agreement. That is what he is referring to. The district attorney's office expressing that they believed people were on board, the victims were on board for the plea agreement, but you could sense right there perhaps this victim may not have been totally on board to the other charges being dropped. But again, Keyes sentenced to 18 years to life. Ayala sentenced 20 years to life. The judge, as always, during the sentencing, the defendant does have an opportunity to speak, perhaps offer an apology. The judge asked both of them. She asked Ayala, she asked Keyes, do you want to say anything? Both of them declined to comment. We did not really hear from the attorney for Keyes. We did hear from the attorney for Ayala. We will get to that later. But certainly today, an emotional day for the victims and for the victims' families. A lot was at stake here, and this was totally preventable. And I think why this made international headlines, because the teens filmed a lot of the crimes themselves. The teens filmed hitting both cyclists. You see the impact in their videos. I believe Keyes was the driver hitting the cyclist who survived, who you heard from there. And I believe Ayala was the driver when they hit Andy Probst and killed him. Their crimes caught on camera because they filmed this themselves. Let's take a break. Welcome back to High Heels and Hidden Truths. I'm Vanessa Murphy, investigative reporter at KLAS TV in Las Vegas. We are continuing to take a look at a deadly crime spree by two teens in 2023. They were just sentenced today on December 16th, 2025. It has been a long wait for the victims and for the family of Andy Probst, who was killed, a retired police chief, killed in this crime spree. The teens filmed the crimes themselves. Andy Probst and another gentleman going on morning bike rides in the Northwest Valley of Las Vegas. The teens in a vehicle, stolen vehicles, by the way, hitting both cyclists. They did not have a chance. One cyclist survived. Again, Andy Probst did not. His family just expressing how this has affected them. There is anger. There is rage, there is sadness, there is grief, so much in connection with the death of this 64-year-old retired police chief. So at the sentencing, we heard victim impact statements. We heard from the judge, Jesus Ayala and Shamir Keyes, declining to offer an apology, declining to say anything. We heard from one defense attorney representing Jesus Ayala, David Westbrook. We heard from prosecutor John Giordani. Take a listen.
He did not want to put these victims through a trial. He's not afraid of a trial. I mean, growing up where he grew up, with the challenges that he grew up with, he's not afraid of a trial. But he didn't want to put them through it. He didn't want to put himself through it. He wanted this to be over, and the reason is because he is truly remorseful. He didn't mean to kill Chief Probst. He certainly didn't know who Chief Probst was that day. He was just one of two people who was out in a boosted car, joyriding and causing havoc. And this is what resulted. But the action he's taken in taking this negotiation, and I'm not going to call it a deal, that's shorthand that we often use. A deal indicates that you've gotten something that's good or beneficial. 20 years to life is the maximum sentence he could do. And so when I say he's showing remorse, he's taken a maximum sentence instead of going to trial. And whether you like Mr. Ayala or hate him, whether you understand him or demonize him, you have to recognize that he took the highest possible sentence for a juvenile who commits a second-degree murder in this state as an expression of remorse. I don't ask anyone to understand him or to like him or to appreciate him, but I think that you have to respect what he's doing here today, just a little bit. He's been the target of people inside the jail for these crimes, harassed by jail employees for these crimes. He's certainly been the target of death threats. I've been the target of death threats. A lot of it because people in the general public don't understand what's happened here, and because they've been fueled by organizations, videos, some reporting, most of it not from legitimate sources, that has been designed to increase rage and to obscure facts. AI videos, wholly faked, putting words in your Honor's mouth, my client's mouth. And that has increased the rage surrounding this, but it's done nothing to put the truth out there, and it's done nothing to reveal the reasons why this happened. And I hope that going forward, people will be able to put down their rage and actually analyze what happened here, because it is a broad tragedy. And like a lot of tragedies that affect a lot of lives, and you're going to hear from the Probst family about how it's affected their lives horribly, irrevocably. Like a lot of tragedies that affect a lot of lives, this was preventable. And I hope that going forward we can work together as a society to prevent these things in the future. With that, I'll submit. Thank you.
As I mentioned, this court has dealt with a lot of litigation in this case. You're thoroughly familiar with the facts.
Yeah.
This obviously was a crime that was captured on video by the defendant. One of the most callous and egregious acts that I have seen in my career, and I think the community outrage was justified in that. I hope that these defendants understand at this point the gravity of what they did. We've come to a resolution that includes stipulated sentences. I've conferred with the victim and the victim's family. On multiple occasions, everyone's on board with the agreements, understanding that the defendants were juveniles at the time they committed the offense, and we're statutorily precluded from going outside what is allowed for Nevada law. I would ask the court to follow the negotiations. I think the defense attorneys will ask for the same. We came to these after a great deal of litigation and thorough discussion. So with that, I would submit.
Prosecutor John Giordani referring to Nevada state law there, which for a juvenile, because Ayala and Keys, again, were juveniles when they were on this deadly crime spree, when they were committing this deadly crime spree. Prosecutors' hands are a bit tied. So I know for the Clark County District Attorney's Office, they feel like they got the maximum amount of time these men could have received. Again, Keys, the judge agreeing here to give Keys 18 years to life in prison, credit for a couple of years served. Ayala, 20 years to life in prison and credit for a couple of years served. So again, that was Prosecutor John Giordani. And before that, defense attorney David Westbrook trying to point out some of his clients' past, trying to point out sort of what was happening on the outside here as far as the criticism. But look, you just have to see the video. And I think for many people, that's enough. Westbrook trying to say that Ayala was doing the right thing by not putting the victims, by not putting the Probst family through a trial where they would have to hear from many witnesses, where this would be argued about, and where they essentially may have to relive what happened even more. Again, saying that Ayala is making the right move here. But look, if a jury saw that video, what do you think? Fair question, right? So Judge Jacqueline Bluth, interestingly, she has a past as a criminal prosecutor. She worked in the Clark County District Attorney's Office, and she covered a lot of cases involving crimes against children. We do know that Jameer Keys was identified by police when he was a boy as the victim of child neglect. We do know that Ayala was in and out of the juvenile system. Even Bluth saying, look, all of that is no excuse for what you did. You had to know right from wrong. You killed a man. You hurt several others. The families, they have to live with this. The victims, the 2 surviving victims who were in court. Bluth pointing out Ayala's attitude when he was taken into custody. There is body camera video of him saying he expects a slap on the wrist. Bluth also pointing to the teens' words in their own cell phone video, hit him, and the language they used, and the lack of remorse at that moment. Not, oh my gosh, we did something really stupid, let's make sure these cyclists are okay. There was none of that. So again, Jesus Ayala going to prison, Jameer Keys going to prison, and also the Probst family pointing to the failures in the criminal justice system and the failures as these 2 men were growing up. Thanks for watching. I'm Vanessa Murphy.